श्री गुरु गौरांग गंधारी के गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति विज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपार शुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु महाभगवत श्री गोरक्षोदास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विश्व श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानु गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगा माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। जय नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपाद शिल भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपाद शिल भक्ति वल्लभ तीर्थ गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपाद शिल भक्ति दैत माधव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपाद अशुतर शतशिमाद शिल भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्याल्प विष्णु विष्णुपाद श्रीमद भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोसाई महाराज की जय। All the associates of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and all of their disciples, all their just grand disciples, great grand disciples, jai. Our whole Saraswati Thakur, Gaudiya Saraswat lineage ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gaudiya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Sankirtanai Maya Varati Mingilo Daragatan Udhrita Jiva Niman Krishna Prema Sudabdika Hana Sukhang Pradat Prabhung Tang Bhaje Vande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastra Samrajam Radharasa Sudha Nidhim Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutte Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshaya kshiptashtakama madhe kripa mai tvam sharanam prapanna vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. And let's say, recite the pranama mantra for Srila Bhakti Bhagavad-Tirtha Goswami Maharaj. Let me just find it again. Where is it? Did I save it here? No, I didn't. Dang it. One second. This take me 1 minute. Blogs. Sorry, guys. 1 second. There. You can find this on bbtirtha.org. Pranam mantra. There it is. Okay. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Shri Gaura Priya Murtaye Srimate Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Namine Mayavara Vikhandanam Gururvanyanu Pascha Deshopadeshakang Prasanna Vadanang Sada Shuddha Bhakti Prabhahakang Shuddha Bhakti Bhagiratham Bhakti Daita Madhava Bhinnatanung Namamyaham Nama Sankirtanamrita Rasa Swada Vidhayakam Krishnamnaya Kripamurtim Acharyang Tang Namamyaham Gauranama Pracharardram Bhakta Sevanukangshitam Satirtha Pritti Sarbhava Nomi Tirtha Mahashayam. Did I forget to share my screen? Dang it. I always do that. Oh, sorry, guys. Anyway, at least you heard it. Sorry about that. Okay, Dandavat Pranams. Archana Mataji, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Sarveshwari Mataji, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Nitai Mukeshji, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Yashoda Didi, and on YouTube and Facebook, Raseshwari Mataji, Shubhananda Prabhu, and I see a few other devotees there. If you write a comment, I'll see your name. But Dandavat Pranams, also pranams to all devotees watching in the future. And Haribo Ashai Tattva Prabhu. Haribo. All right, so we are continuing on our reading of um, of Sweetest, and these are the last 3 years of Srila Bhakti Vallabha Goswami Maharaj's pastimes in this world, from 2010, or maybe last 4 years, 2010 to 2013. So yeah, this is I think our 5th reading now in this book. I didn't read ahead, so yeah, we're all reading this for the first time. This book was written by his personal sevak at the end time, who's at that time his name was Prahlad Prabhu, and recently he took sannyas, and now he is Bhakti Suhrit Paramadvaiti Maharaj, I think. So far in the 5 days, I'm guessing on what his. I think it just says Bhakti BS Paramadvaiti Maharaj, and I'm guessing the S stands for Suhrit. I think I remember hearing that before, but okay. What did we read up to yesterday? I think lighthearted moments, right? That's what we ended with. So now, exalted instructions during Darshans. We're going to read these 4 sections. Exalted instructions during Darshans, actual Guru-pūjā, Kārtika-vrata In Śrī Vraja, and preaching by example. Okay, so Srila Gurudev would give his divine audience to all the devotees 2 times a day. 1. In the afternoon, when he would come out for Tulsi Parikrama, circumambulation, and 2, in the evenings inside his bhajan kutir. So when you go for Tulsi Parikrama in the morning and in his bhajan kutir in the evening. These moments were an effective means to receive many sublime teachings from him. By carefully observing his outstanding behavior and attentively listening to his speech at this time, the fortunate could discern, to some extent, the divine state of his mind and thought processes thereof. During these seemingly short moments, some teaching was always there around the corner, provided we kept our ears and heart ready to accept them. My Param Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshava Goswami Maharaj would say that we must prepare our ears to receive the message from Sri Gurudev. And he'd pray to all of his God brothers, please help me prepare my ears for this purpose. One who could catch the spirit of those instructions would instantly be enthralled. And by beholding his exquisite perspective, one would simply be stunned. In the afternoon, before lunch, Srila Gurudev would come out of his room to receive darshan of Srila Param Gurudev in his bhajan kutir. After offering his heartfelt prayers in front of him, Srila Gurudev would water Sri Tulsi. He gently touched all the manjaris and leaves with his right palm and forehead before circumambulating her. And I have a picture of that. Last year, Rup Manjari Didi sent me some pictures of her Gurudev. Let me just find. She just sent me an assortment of photos of him. And among those photos, I think there are a few of him. Yeah, see, look, there's a picture of him touching his head to Tulsi Devi, like we just read. And let's see. Here's a picture of him touching Tulsi Devi and the manjaris like that. And then here's another picture of him coming out of his room. So that was a big, like a very important part of the day. He'd come out and worship Tulsi and touch all the leaves like that. Okay, so this is when everybody would get his darshan in the morning time. He gently touched all the manjaris and leaves with his right palm and forehead before circumambulating her. While he walked back to his room via the corridor outside the library hall, he would pause to have darshan of Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Nayananath Ju. He had to have darshan from the first floor since it was difficult to traverse up and down every day at that point in his health condition. He would adjust his body position by moving left and right and bending down to have darshan of the deities. The angle from that position in the veranda is such that darshan of the deities is not possible at all. All he could see was the bhoga, the food offerings to the Lord. When he saw there were nice offerings to them, he expressed great satisfaction. Eventually, we had the inspiration to employ a webcam and a computer in his service so that he could have darshan by watching the computer screen. He would touch their feet on the screen with utmost reverence. Every day, a few devotees would assemble at that time to receive his darshan and receive his affectionate instructions. On certain days, he spoke about the transient nature of the material body, while on other days, he spoke the glories of the holy name. One of the most commonly repeated teachings was, you should perform bhajan from the core of your heart while thinking, all are good, I am very bad. Rukmini Didi was just mentioning that, right? A couple days ago. He'd say, Sabhai bhalo, ami kharab. All are good, I am very bad. And with that mood, you should perform bhajan from the core of your heart. Sabhai bhalo, ami kharab. However, we think just the opposite. I am good, everyone else is bad. Do we not? Bhajan cannot be performed in this mood. Some days, Srila Gurudev got delayed due to other devotional engagements, and so when he came out, the temple doors were closed. He would remark, what can be done? I could not get their darshan today. He immediately followed that statement with a smile, saying, actually, there is no difference between that temple, gesturing towards Sri Radha Nayananath temple,
And this temple, gesturing toward Srila Param Gurudev's Bhajan Kutir. If you offer your obeisances here, it is the same as offering to them. Whatever they can give, our Gurudev can also give. And after a short pause, in a very assertive voice, he said, whatever they cannot give, Gurudev can give that also. This statement does not in any way mean that there's anything beyond the reach of the Supreme Lord. If that were so, then the Supreme Lord would lose his absolute position. The purport of the above statement, as I understand it from an overall perspective of whatever I've heard from Srila Gurudeva over a period of several years, is the Lord has given all the supreme powers to Sri Guru, his non-different manifestation. In his incarnation as a Guru, the Supreme Lord is more magnanimous. If the Guru is worshipped, then the Supreme Lord is automatically pleased. On the other hand, if the Guru is displeased, one will be permanently deprived of the Lord's grace. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadhan nagati kutopi. What is the verse? It's in the Guru Vandana song. What is it? Krishna rushta hole Guru Rakhi bare tare. Guru rushta hole Krishna Rakhi bare nare. That means if Krishna is angry with you, no worries. Shri Guru will still deliver you. Like he can deliver you. But if Guru is displeased with you, then you have no hope of ever getting any kind of protection or help or being saved from anything. You're screwed. So yeah, on the other hand, if the Guru is displeased, one will be permanently deprived of the Lord's grace. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasada, yasya prasadan nagati kotopi. One should have one pointed faith in the service of Sri Guru. He can award Krishna because he is the Guru's property. Krishna she tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomar shakati ache. That's the last verse of Ohi Vaishnav Thakur. He can award Krishna because Krishna is Guru's property. So he has the power. The Supreme Lord may keep himself unrevealed to the sinners and atheists, but a devotee, out of his extreme compassion towards even such persons, awards him by engaging them in his service, in Krishna's service. In the evenings, Srila Gurudev would give darshan to all the devotees after Sandhya Arati. He would ask the visiting devotees if they had received the audience of his Gurudev before coming to him. He said that anyone who receives darshan of his Gurudev and follows his instructions will get the highest welfare undoubtedly. He would give a sweetmeat, a fruit, a samosa, salted wafers, or some other food item as prasad to everyone when they came to him after receiving his Gurudev's darshan. And I've seen that we've all seen that with Srila Bhaktivinoda Bharati Goswami Maharaj also. It was impossible to go to his room and not receive some prasadam. And like, I remember one time there was a program, it was late night class. The class ended and there was no prasad to distribute to all the devotees who were in Harikatha. And so then he sent somebody out to go to Jagannath Mandir and bring back Kaja Prasad. This is really late at night. And we waited for so long, but there was no way he was going to let everybody leave without getting some prasad from his hands. And so we did kirtan for a long time. Somebody went out and then I think the program ended at like 9:30 or something like that, just because we're waiting because he had to give prasad to everybody. So yeah, that was... and I guess that's a quality of both of them, Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Bharati Goswami. Nobody could come to them without them giving them some prasad in two forms, Harikatha prasad and the food offering prasad. He would exchange pleasant smiles and affectionate warm words with devotees during this time. Devotees remember and cherish those moments even today. When devotees of advanced age visited during this time, Srila Gurudev would suggest that they should use the elevator and not take the stairs, as it might affect their health. Further, he advised them to go out of their houses only with the help of an assistant. When he gave prasad, he considered whether or not the person would be able to chew it. When an old person or a child without teeth came, he would stall the line and make sure one of us went immediately to fetch an item that was softer or more chewable for them. He executed each of his activities to the point of perfection with the utmost sincerity. So it made everybody wait until he could serve out something soft to somebody else. Srila Gurudev would call the children closer to him and make them chant the Mahamantra. Children from the surrounding slums came with uncombed hair and phlegm flowing from their noses. To a conditioned soul, they might have appeared ugly, but he would lovingly rub his palms over the cheeks of those little children and made them chant the holy name. He is an embodiment of love of countless mothers combined together. A mother has love only for her child, but Srila Gurudev is a universal mother. His love for all the sentient beings is impartial, without any anticipation of anything from them, and unaffected by the so-called virtues and inequities of this world. In general, Srila Gurudev was seen to have great concern toward vulnerable persons, particularly children and elderly people. During Navadip Dham Parikrama, and such times when there was a big crowd gathered in the temple for his darshan, he would ask us to make special arrangements for their protection, for the elderly and children, so that they would not get hurt in the crowd. He would say to everyone, "You should respect the elders and be affectionate and caring toward the children." We would receive many exalted teachings from Srila Gurudev and behold his divine outlook and amazement during his public darshans. Ordinarily, we tend to identify a person to be a devotee if he or she has tilak on the forehead, beads around the neck, and chanting beads in the hand. However, he would teach us, they have come to the mat, the dham. Since they are recipients of the grace of our Gurudev and the Supreme Lord, they are here. Otherwise, they could have not come here. So they are not ordinary people. They are devotees. We would instantly feel blessed upon receiving such transcendental instructions and pray to him that he might grant us that sort of vision. Haribol Vangshiwala Prabhu. Okay, now, actual Guru-pūjā. Shri Guru Purnima Tithi is celebrated everywhere as the appearance day of Shri Vedavyas Muni. On this day, disciples worship their spiritual master, who is non-different from Shri Vedavyas Muni. Also, for the reason that Shri Sanatana Goswami performed his pastimes of disappearance from this world on this day, Gaudiya Vaishnavas observe this tithi with very special reverence. On July 15th, 2011, the holy Shri Guru Purnima Day, Srila Gurudev arrived in the library hall amid kirtans. Preparations for his worship and arati were being planned and prepared. Along with him on the stage were Param Pujapad Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, Param Pujapad Bhakti Sundar Nrsimha Maharaj, Param Pujapad Bhakti Niketan Turyaswami Maharaj, and Param Pujapad Bhakti Saurabh Acharya Maharaj. A few minutes after Srila Gurudev arrived at the hall, the kirtan came to a halt, and a sannyasi disciple got ready to perform his worship. The paraphernalia for his arati was being prepared. Srila Gurudev, on the other hand, was readying himself to speak Harikatha. Seeing that all the devotees were busy making preparations for his worship, but not to listen to what he wanted to deliver, he admonished, "Did I come here to be worshipped? If we do not listen to the message of Sri Sanatana Goswami, how will we obtain our true benefit? Simply by making an external show of worship, we will not achieve our actual welfare." Immediately, the preparations for Guru-pūjā were stopped, and the devotees sat down to listen to him attentively. Srila Gurudev explained in his Harikatha that it is essential to take shelter of a bona fide guru to attain the eligibility to serve the Supreme Lord. Citing a verse from Padma Puran, he said that one can find many so-called gurus who are ready to plunder the wealth of their disciples. But a bona fide guru who can drive away the sufferings of the disciples permanently is very rarely found. He mentioned the qualities of an actual guru and said that the Lord himself appears in this world as a guru in order to shower grace upon the living beings of this world. Saying this, he sang some of the glories of Sri Vedavyas Muni. Srila Gurudev then mentioned the following verse of Srila Prabhupada's Vaishnav Ke. Tai dushta ma nirjana bhajan prachari cho chale kuyogi vaibhava prabhu sanatane paramajatane shiksha dilo jaha chinta sheshavam. So, wicked minds, you have been deceptively preaching Nirjan Bhajan, which is nothing more than a display like that of a misleading yoga practitioner interested in the mystic powers. Study the teachings given by the Lord to Sanatana Goswami very carefully and meditate upon them. Srila Gurudev continued his Harikatha by speaking about the holy life of Sri Sanatana Goswami, his exceptional humility when he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with his brother in the village of Ramkeli, his escape from a prison house to join the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his extraordinary renunciation, and his propagation of Bhakti Shastras following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Srila Gurudev narrated the story of a Brahmin blessed by Sri Sanatana Goswami, who gave him the wealth of Harinam only after he discarded a touchstone in the river Yamuna. Srila Gurudev concluded the Harikatha by saying that we should endeavor for Paramartha Dhan, the transcendental wealth, in this present human birth, without wasting it by running after material riches. After Harikatha, Srila Gurudev asked the Vaishnavas to fetch a portrait of his Gurudev and perform worship to him. Following his order, when the Vaishnavas offered arati and flowers to Srila Param Gurudev, Srila Gurudev was greatly pleased and accepted the remnants. He asked the devotees to worship his sannyasi godbrothers sitting next to him as well. After returning to his bhajan kutir, Srila Gurudev said, I wanted to listen to the glories of Sri Sanatana Goswami, but they disturbed me. That is why I had to speak strongly. Have I become more important than Sanatana Goswami, as I see that they have made preparations for my worship? Our Gurudev is the actual Guru. He is our object of worship. Through this perfect ideal of Srila Gurudev, one can learn that he spoke Harikatha in the mood that he himself was a listener and beneficiary, rather than the mood to preach to others. That he was always very eager to sing the glories of the Vaishnavas. That he did not allow his direct worship, but accepted his Gurudev's remnants. And that he never considered himself to be a guru. I'm just remembering Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj. He would, on the day before his Vyas Puja, for so many years, the day before his Vyas Puja, he would take one random person with him and then disappear. And not a single person would know where he went. He would just escape with one devotee. And so then on his Vyas Puja day, they would just have to like worship a picture because he didn't want to take the worship for himself. And also he would there's a letter that he wrote to Umudidi mentioning the letter in the backstory. Um, um, he writes how displeased he is with that they put his name in the Panjika because he would even though he's the Acharya of a Math and he does the most important services, he would proofread the Panjika, which anybody could do. But he would proofread the Panjika because he didn't want to see his name there on the Vyas Puja day. He didn't want them to put in his name. And so then one day they gave him the proofing thing, and but then they like hid that part somehow, and so then and then they printed it, and he said that you might like this, but I find it extremely embarrassing, and he wrote a whole letter to Umudiri about it. But yeah, anyways, that's just another example of that. Another sublime message that Srila Gurudev imparted via these pastimes is that an elaborate, informal process of making offerings to Sri Guru is not the actual purport of Guru-pūjā. Just do a whole big grand ceremony offering big flowers and a garland and worship and all that. That's not the purport of Guru-pūjā. In reality, it means to follow the orders of Sri Guru. That is Guru-pūjā. Fulfilling his innermost desire is the foremost form of his worship, and the offering of one's heart fully at his feet is the topmost offering. Also, if we are not inclined to go through the holy biographies of the Vaishnavas and follow their instructions, but instead carry out a ritualistic process to worship them, our Guru Puja will be incomplete. In one of his letters to his disciples, Srila Gurudev wrote, "The Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most munificent form of Godhead, out of unfathomable compassion to rescue the fallen souls, he still continues to stay in this world as the Lord's grace incarnate, a pure devotee who is the only resort of the helpless. It is the scriptural prescript to perform puja on the Advent anniversary of Srila Gurudev or prominent superior Vaishnavas. The significance of Guru Puja is not simply an external ritualistic performance of offering floral tributes. Actually, Guru Puja or Vaishnav Puja is to fulfill their heart's desire. We daily recite in our prayers to Gurudev that he is one with Sri Hari, in the sense that he is the dearest of the Supreme Lord Sri Hari. Submission to a pure devotee is actual submission to the Lord. Bona fide submission to Gurudev is essential for Guru Puja, for which sixfold Sharanagati is to be practiced." Okay, now the next, Kārtika-vrata In Śrī Vraja. Kārtika-vrata was slated to be observed in Śrī Vrajamandal Dham in 2011. Devotees of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math observe this vow every third year in Vrajamandal. Srila Gurudev took this as a long-awaited opportunity to fulfill his desire of staying in Sri Govardhan. When he was very determined to go, as he had made his plans at least 6 months in advance. He was very determined to go, as he had made his plans at least 6 months in advance. Lack of proper infrastructure and electric and water facilities in Govardhan did not deter him. He said he was ready to leave his body in Govardhan. We could not have held him back. Srila Gurudev arrived at Govardhan in early October. Many fortunate devotees had the opportunity to engage in his service activities, both physically and mentally, which allowed him to perform pastimes at his desired location comfortably. He gave darshan to devotees regularly and spoke the glories of Govardhan whenever he got an opportunity. During his circumambulation of Govardhan one day, he offered a ghee lamp at Mukharavinda, visited Govindakund and the place of Madhavendra Puri, worshipped Sri Radhakund and Sri Shyamakund, and performed Achman with the holy waters of Sri Radhakund. He narrated several pastimes of the Lord on the way. The entire parikrama took more than 3 hours by car. A few days later, Sri Giridhari Panda, oh, we know them, he was also our Panda, I guess for Chaitanya Gaudiya Math and for our Math. So I see him like pretty much every time I go to Govardhan, I somehow see him somewhere. So a few days later, Sri Giridhari Panda took Srila Gurudev to his house. Srila Gurudev, along with his associates, took prasad at his place. Upon Pandaji's request, he wrote a few affectionate words in his register. It read, "After a long time, I have had the opportunity to see Sri Giridhari Panda. I am grateful to you. Kindly speak to me, kindly speak about me to Giriraj Maharaj. On another day, Srila Gurudev visited Dhruva Tila, a place where the five-year-old Prince Dhruva performed immense penance in Satyuga to receive the darshan of the Supreme Lord Narayan. In Madhuvan at Sri Gaudiya Sevashram, located near the foothills of Dhruva Tila, he narrated the holy life of Prince Dhruva with intense spiritual absorption. It became extremely difficult for him to speak Harikatha properly because of the repeated choking of his voice. Tears flowed from his eyes incessantly during the course of that Harikatha. Many divine transformations of the body due to an overflow of transcendental emotions were seen in him. Practically, all the assembled devotees were seen wiping tears from their faces repeatedly, whether or not they understood his speech. The atmosphere was surcharged with spiritual vibrations. It was the ultimate experience. Soon the party of devotees followed Srila Gurudev in its journey toward Dhruva Tila. His amazing pastime at that place astounded everyone. Nobody had imagined, even just before this moment, that the determination and vigor to see the Lord as previously exhibited by five-year-old royal Prince Dhruva in Satyug was going to be repeated by Srila Gurudev, who was already 88 years old by then. Srila Gurudev climbed the steep stairs with great vigor and enthusiasm to receive the darshan of Padma Palash Lochan Hari. That's Shri Hari, whose eyes resemble lotus petals. We tried to convince him to let us carry him, but he refused, saying, "No, I will go myself." Everyone was amazed to see him effortlessly climb those imposing steep stairs. The intensity of the mood had been previously set in the Harikatha that he had spoken just before this. After having darshan of Sri Dhruva Narayan on the hilltop, kirtans were performed. By this pastime, he demonstrated to all of us in a practical way that if one possesses the sincerity and seriousness to perform Hari Bhajan, then no bodily discomfort or age would be a hindrance. This is just reminding me, I'm not sure if it's inappropriate to mention it, anyways, I'm just going to say, but once they're in Navadvip, on Gaur Purnima, we were making this documentary about Srila Gurudev. I think lots of you have seen it, The Gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we were recording on Gaur Purnima Day was the only day that we could record lots of people because everybody's leaving the next day. And so but on Gaur Purnima Day, there was like kirtan performances being performed everywhere. It was just total chaos everywhere. So the only like nice quiet place that we could find was on the roof of this 5-story building. 5 stories or 4 stories? Yeah, maybe 4 stories. No, I think it's 5 stories. And so Uma Didi, Srimati Uma Didi, wait, sorry, I'm just singing. You can't hear? Haribo, Haribo. Can everybody hear me?
Sorry, I got it back. Sorry. Goes on
Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem. Yeah, so then we offered to carry so Uma Didi said we asked Uma Didi, she was fasting that day also, but we asked Uma Didi if she would be able to glorify Srila Gurudev, and then she said, yes, I must. How can I not? And so then we brought her to we walked with her to the bottom of the staircase, and she was very old. This is just like a couple years before she left her body, and her health wasn't that great, but a few years before she left her body. And so then we offered to carry her up in a chair. But then Uma Didi said, no, I have to do this for Srila Gurudev. And so then she walked up one flight of stairs. And then she struggled walking up the next flight of stairs. And we're like, we can carry you on the chair. No, this is for Srila Gurudev. And she walked up the entire flight of stairs all the way up to the top, to the roof of this 5-story building. And we were just walking slowly behind her, but that determination, just the next step, and then she'd get to the top of the staircase and would be like, and be like really struggling, and then the next staircase, and she just the determination was one of the most inspiring things I've that's anyways, yeah. So this just reminded me of that. So from Madhuvan, Srila Gurudev went to Kumudvan. He spent a few hours at the mat there and took prasad before returning to Govardhan. He initiated many aspirants into Krishna Nam and Krishna Mantra during his 1-month stay in Govardhan. In Gokul Mahavan, he narrated the delightful childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna. He appeared to be thoroughly relishing those wonderful pastimes as he spoke them. As he was describing them, many devotees felt that he was directly witnessing those pastimes in the transcendental world. Toward the end of Kārtika-vrata, Srila Gurudev came to Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, Vrindavan, to observe the 107th appearance anniversary of Nitya-lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shimad Bhakti Dait Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja. A large, diverse group of devotees, Vrajvasi sadhus, Brahmins, and householders, as well as sannyasis, brahmacharis, and grihastas of various Gaudiya institutions, took part in the function. Many of Srila Gurudev's godbrothers and disciples also attended the event. He installed a deity of Srila Param Gurudev on that day, which was to be established at Jalandhar Math. He then narrated the inspiring life sketch of Srila Param Gurudev. He said that in the entire life of Srila Param Gurudev, he had only followed the direction and desires of Srila Prabhupada and the other Vaishnavas. By his unique quality of Satirtha Priti, his affection toward his godbrothers, he was actually the one who served Srila Prabhupada wholly. He thus set an example for all others to follow. And there are many stories of that, of Srila Bhakti-dayita Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja, how even his godbrothers that were against him and that would speak bad about him, say false things against him and try to harm him, even those godbrothers, he didn't care at all for any of the things that they said, and he would serve them to in the most beautiful ways, even paying for all their medical expenses, begging them to stay in one of his temples so that they could serve him, even though they were in one, it seemed like they were his enemy. And so that was the kind of love that he had. We read stories like that in the book Volcanic Energy, which Srila Bhakti began, Paratiga Samaj. There are a couple stories like that. Right. This is what time is it? Okay, 15 minutes. We're going to finish with this last part here, and this one. Preaching by example. After imparting several teachings to devotees through his divine pastimes for about 40 days in Sri Vrajmandal, Srila Gurudev went to Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, New Delhi, before returning to Kolkata. The historical name of New Delhi is Indraprastha. It was the capital city of the kingdom ruled by the Pandavas, headed by King Yudhishthira in Dwapar Yuga. At Delhi Math, Srila Gurudev spoke the glories of the Pandavas, and thereafter narrated the insightful replies by King Yudhishthira to the Yaksha's questions during the Pandavas' forced exile. He concluded his Harikatha by saying that the Supreme Lord's abode is eternal and supremely blissful, and that by giving up all our futile attempts for the flickering happiness of this temporary material world, we should endeavor to attain eternal bliss by entering into that supreme abode, back to home, back to Godhead. After reaching Kolkata in late November and a brief stay there, Srila Gurudev was preparing to leave for Hyderabad to participate in the Math's annual function. We requested him not to travel so frequently because his health was becoming fragile. With each trip, his physical body was wearing out. Absolutely no time was allowed for his body to take rest and recuperate from the fatigue of his previous trip. Particularly, the latest Vrajmandal Parikrama was very intense. However, Srila Gurudev was determined to visit Hyderabad Math. I approached him with one final request, and that was to cancel the tour for that year. He then explained to me the significance of the Math. He said, "Please listen, I want to say something. Our Gurudev established that Math. Earlier, the preaching activities of our Math began in Urdu Gully, in a rented house, and continued for several years. Later, permanent land was procured at Dewan Devdi. I don't know how you say that. Dewan Devdi, by the persistent efforts of the devotees. Daily, our Gurudev took his brahmachari and sannyasi disciples with him from Urdu Gali to this place and recited Srimad Bhagavatam in order to sanctify the place and remove all obstacles to devotion. He also performed Harinam Sankirtan and Rasinga Kirtans at this place. This continued for 21 days, and it was only after performing these activities that he established the mat. So it is not an ordinary place. Is it not wise to worry about the it is not wise to worry about the body all the time. Do you understand? I was clearly defeated in my attempt to postpone his tour to Hyderabad. Srila Gurudev was replete with divine strength and had a very strong willpower. If he had once determined that he would do something for the service of Guru and Vaishnavas, he would do it, come what may. He was never afraid to face any magnitude of the challenges and hindrances of this world. Under no circumstances was he seen to be overwhelmed. He always remained steady and composed. Even at such an advanced age, he disregarded his bodily comforts and physical illness in order to visit the pastime places of his Gurudev and the mats established by him. His enthusiasm to please Guru and Vaishnavas is beyond the calculations of the material mind. In the second week of December, Srila Gurudev arrived at Hyderabad. Local devotees arranged for his grand welcome at the airport. A 5-day annual function was organized at the mat. On each of these days, the assembled sannyasi Vaishnavas spoke on various topics. Srila Gurudev spoke Harikatha on the topics of the significance of human birth and the Supreme Lord is subservient to his devotees, on December 16th and 19th respectively. On Sunday, December 18th, Nagar Sankirtan was organized in the forenoon. Their lordships Shishi Guru Gauranga Radha Vinodju ascended a beautifully decorated cart and passed through the streets of the city to bestow their sweet glance and mercy upon the inhabitants. Srila Gurudev briefly participated in the Nagar Sankirtan and then returned to his bhajan kutir. Thereafter, he got immersed in studying the scriptures. By the time the procession had arrived at the mat, it was about 3 p.m. The deities were taking their place on the altar inside the temple. Food offerings were made after that, and Bhog Arati would follow. Wow, so late. Srila Gurudev waited for the procession to return to the mat without having his lunch, prepared separately from the deities' offerings. And he did not seem to be in any sort of hurry to do so, as he was leisurely meeting the devotees who had returned from the Nagar Sankirtan. We were extremely worried about his already delayed lunch and medicines, and also his rest at the proper time. Upon my request, a sevak brought him lunch while the deities were still being brought back inside the temple from their cart. Srila Gurudev inquired, "Is the Bhog Arati finished?" I replied, "No, Guruji, there seems to be some further delay. It is already 3 p.m. You need to take your medicines and rest. There is a religious assembly in the evening." This annoyed him as he chided. "How can I eat anything before an offering is made to the Lord? I may not be able to digest the full festival prasad, but I can at least honor a little. All the devotees went on parikrama and they have returned very tired. I am sitting in my room doing nothing. The deities have not been offered bhog. The devotees have not taken prasad. So why would you think that I would take my food now?" Srila Gurudev was very disturbed with my attempt to offer lunch while everyone else was waiting for the bhog offering. The food plate was taken back instantly, which saw him become slightly happier. At 4 p.m., only after the bhog offering and arati were over and devotees had started to take prasad, only then did he take his meal. The above incident is just one example out of several such occurrences demonstrating that Srila Gurudev never gave his personal schedule priority over any devotional activity. He did not accept any special privilege, even though available. He considered himself to be an ordinary practitioner. Although his advanced age no longer allowed him to practice severe austerities, such as the one described above, he still followed all the standards of Vaishnav conduct. Thus, he became a role model for everyone. The response from him when his meal plate was brought in front of him was spontaneous and instantaneous, not calculated, as it came from within. His actions reflected his true natural state. They were never in any way pretentious. That is why every single word he uttered and every action he performed are truly impactful and inspirational for all the sincere votaries who desire to reach the highest standards of devotion. This just reminds me of a story that Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj would tell when in Keshavji Gaudiya Math, my Gurudev was, there's a festival there, I forgot what the festival was, but and everybody was being fed, and my Gurudev was looking over the distribution of prasad, and my Gurudev requested Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj to sit down, and he said, no, I'll wait for, and so then after, so Srila Bharati Maharaj and my Srila Gurudev, after everybody was served prasad and all fed nicely, then afterwards they both sat together and ate in his room. But first, he wouldn't take prasad until everybody else was already, fed. On December 19th, after speaking Harikatha at the evening assembly, Srila Gurudev went to his bhajan kutir. He saw in the program brochure that the evening for the next 2 days, that the topic for the next day was the glories of the holy name. His name was not mentioned in the list of speakers on that day because it was difficult for him at that age to sit through an entire 2 hours of a religious assembly every day. However, as soon as he saw the topic for the next day, his mind was incessantly fixed in meditation on the glories of the holy name as he started to speak those to us. He started to speak the glories of the holy name to us. He cited numerous verses from various scriptures that describe the glories of the holy name. Until 1 a.m., when everyone else was immersed in deep sleep, he studied the glories of the transcendental holy name from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Taking a very brief rest, he woke up at 4 a.m. and continued his study of the scriptures. It's only 3 hours of sleep. During the day, he spoke the glories of the holy name to whoever came for his darshan. In the night, during the religious assembly, he sat in his bhajan kutir and attentively heard all the speakers sing the glories of the holy name. Before going to bed, he again recited to us many verses glorifying the holy name and explains their meaning. From one perspective, the aforementioned incident gives a glimpse of Srila Gurudev's intense attachment to the holy name. And from another perspective, through his earnestness for singing, listening to, and meditating upon the glories of the holy name, he taught us the necessary qualifications of a sincere practitioner. Considering himself to be an ordinary practitioner, despite his being an eternal associate of the Lord, he often spoke the following opening words during his Harikathas. He'd say, "My mind will contemplate worldly subject matters if I sit alone in my room. Therefore, the Vaishnavas, out of their causeless compassion and extreme eagerness for my eternal welfare, give me this opportunity to remember and speak what I had previously heard from my Guru Varga for my own purification." After speaking these humble words, he would express his gratitude toward the Vaishnavas who had organized the meeting and ask them to speak on a specific topic. He would say that they had engaged him in the service of the Lord, like Guru would do. When he said this, he sincerely meant it. Srila Gurudev always spoke what he did and always did what he spoke. His speech and deeds were identical. Even amid the most challenging and tough situations, no disharmony was seen in them. He preached what he practiced. "Don't follow me, but follow my lecture only," was not only his way of preaching. Don't follow me, but follow my lecture only was not his way of preaching. Do as I say, don't do as I don't. Yeah, what is that? Anyways, he advised his disciples and other devotees, "It will not be beneficial for our devotional spiritual elevation if we do prachar, if we do preaching in order to instruct others. The purpose of preaching should not only be the purpose of our preaching should not be to rectify others. All forms of bhajan, including kirtan, reciting the reciting the glories of the Lord. All forms of bhajan should be performed for the propitiation of Sri Krishna and his devotees. The scriptural quotes are not to be used with the intention to instruct others and rectify them. When one personally acts upon those instructions, others will automatically become influenced. Then preaching will be automatic. Only the instructions of those great personalities who have actual love for all living beings, only they can bring about positive transformation in others. The preaching efforts of all others will not be fruitful. Srila Gurudev emphasized very much the building of one's own character. He said that a person with good character can change the heart of 1,000,000 characterless persons. But the combined effort of millions of characterless persons cannot reform the heart of anyone. How can one sleeping soul awaken another sleeping soul? Yeah, how can one sleeping soul awaken another sleeping soul? Sri Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirna Krishne Parata Svatova Mito Bhipadeta Griha Vratanam. The minds of those persons who are overly addicted to the bodily conception of life can never become inclined toward the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, either by their individual efforts, by the instructions of such a class of persons, or by a combination of both. Srila Gurudev personally followed the instructions of the scriptures and his predecessor acharyas letter by letter. That is why his words penetrate the hearts of the listeners, thus implanting the seed of bhakti in them. Seeing his activities is like reading the scriptures, and following his instructions is to walk on the path of the highest eternal welfare. Jai, Jai, Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tīrtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. All right, so that is our reading for today. And tomorrow is a very special day. What is it? It's let me see if I can remember. It's the appearance day of Sri Shyamananda Prabhu, and also the appearance day of Sri Vangshi Vadanananda Thakur. And then it is Baladev Rasayatra, the Ras Lila day of Baladev Prabhu, and also Sri Krishna's Vasanti Ras Yatra. So tomorrow we won't read Sweetest tomorrow. We'll continue the day after tomorrow with that. And tomorrow I will find something to read for tomorrow. If anybody has any suggestions of what I should read, let me know. You can let me know on WhatsApp. Okay, so I'll just do short Mahamantra and
Prabhuji,
yes.
about Srila Bhakti Bhagavad Maharaj. Yeah, we told you the story. He came, second tour. He did 2 tours of Big Island, and the first time we met him, it was a Rath Yatra we had organized with Jagadatri, our god sister, in Hilo, and it was a torrid day. It was so hot. The asphalt was soft. And I saw him. They said, "Oh, where is Maharaj?" As I got there to Rath Yatra, and he was following the cart for 2 miles, no shoes, with his danda, jumping, dancing, and we could tell he was in advanced age, but he was doing it better than a young man. None of the young men were could take the heat or dancing, all the 2 miles.
Barefoot.
Barefoot, yes. And so finally, when we were coming back with the cart, I saw him. I said, "Please, Maharaj, come." We sat him on our car. We had, but yeah, you could tell that for the Lord, he would forego his comfort, And I don't know at that age, it was around the year 2000, if he had already had some, ailment pastime going on. But it was so, to this day, I have the image of him raising his danda and his other arm and jumping and dancing behind the carts. It was like, wow.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Jai. That is, wow, that's really amazing. All right. Okay, I'll do a little Maha Mantra. And thank you so much for sharing that, Prabhu. That's really inspiring. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Shri Radha Nayananath Ju Ki Jai. Jai Shila Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shila Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Jai Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Swaparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan Ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vindadevi Ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakti Ballabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Shri Bhakti Dayat Madhav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Swaparshad Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Padadevi Satyavatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarani Mataji, Archana Mataji, Sarveshwari Mataji, Yashoda Didi, Guru Nishta Prabhu, Ashray Tattva Prabhu, Nitai Mukesh ji, and let's see, Raseshwari Mataji, Indira Mataji, Shubhananda Prabhu, Vangshiwala Prabhu, Vidyalala Sadidi, and all the other devotees watching. Dandavat pranams. Also pranams to all the devotees watching in the future. So I'll see you all tomorrow to read the glories of Baladev Prabhu and his gopis, his Ras Yatra, and Shamananda Prabhu, Vangshi Vadananda Thakur, and also Krishna's Vasanti Raslila. So yeah, does anybody have anything they wanted to mention before I end the stream for today? All right, see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe Haribol.